My sister asked me to abort my pregnancy as a wedding gift, claiming it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment and I can get pregnant again later. But she doesn't understand why everyone, including her fiancé, is horrified by her request. My sister Mona has always been, well, Mona. You'd have to meet her, hear her, deal with her to get it. She's the youngest in our family, spoiled rotten, the perfect recipe for an entitled monster. Growing up, everything revolved around keeping her happy. If she cried, plans changed. If she wanted something, it was handed to her. Honestly, it didn't bother me much. I lived my life, she lived hers. That's just who she was, and I didn't dwell on it. Mona loves grand gestures and big events, birthdays, holidays, even random outings. She always makes it about her, the kind of person who shows up late to her own party just so everyone notices her entrance. Life's a movie, and she's the star. Most of the time, it's harmless, even amusing, but sometimes she crosses a line. This time, she crossed it big time. Mona got engaged to Mac last year. Her engagement party was exactly what you'd expect. Extravagant decorations, a massive cake, tons of flowers. I was 3 months pregnant then. My husband Ben and I had planned it, so we were thrilled to become parents. We hadn't told many people, just close family, including Mona. I thought she'd be happy for me. She smiled and said congratulations, but it didn't feel entirely genuine. During the engagement party, Mona pulled me aside to a quieter corner away from the guests. She started talking about how special her wedding day would be, how everything had to be perfect, a once-in-a-lifetime moment, the most important day of her life. That's typical Mona. Private talks are always about her. Then she brought up my pregnancy, saying how happy she was for me, how amazing it was that I was expecting. It was all flattery to soften me up for what came next, something that shocked even me, and I know how she can be. She said weddings are unique, that pregnancies are special but not as rare. Sure, we aim to marry once, but you can have multiple pregnancies, or not, depending on the person. Nothing justified what she said next. She thought my pregnancy might overshadow her wedding, that my due date was too close to her big day, and people might focus on the baby instead of her. I stared at her, wondering how many drinks she'd had, because if this was a joke, I wasn't getting it. She kept going, saying it'd be better if I waited to have the baby, that I was young and could have more kids later, but she only had this one wedding day. She asked me to abort as a little wedding gift, like it was a dress and a color she didn't like that I could just return. She seemed delighted with the idea, staring at me as if expecting a serious response to the nonsense she just spewed. I patted her head, said, "Good one," and went back to the party. She was insane to ask that, even crazier to expect a genuine answer. Over the next few days, I kept replaying the conversation. At first, I brushed it off as drunken nonsense, but the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. She genuinely believed her wedding was more important than my pregnancy. Ben noticed I was upset, so I told him. He was furious. Knowing Mona as he does, he didn't expect this either. Mona didn't bring it up again, but kept dropping hints. I started avoiding her. I couldn't handle her selfishness. She didn't seem to grasp how cruel her request was. To her, it was just a logical solution to her problem. She didn't care about me, Ben, or the baby, only herself. What hurt most was her obliviousness to how wrong she was. She acted like I owed her this, like it was my duty to ensure nothing overshadowed her day. When it all came out, because things like this do, Mona was shocked that people were upset. She seemed genuinely surprised anyone took my side or thought her request was wrong. She kept justifying it, saying it didn't come out the way it sounded, but her excuses made it worse. She told everyone I overreacted, that I misunderstood her, that she only asked me to wear a dress to hide my pregnancy, bad enough on its own. But no, she asked me to abort and get pregnant later. The family was a mess. Most supported me, but Mona had some defenders who said I could have kept it private. Mac, her fiancé, didn't buy any of it. When he found out, he confronted her, and from what I've heard, their relationship hasn't been the same since. He started questioning everything, unable to believe she'd treat her own sister this way, making him rethink marrying her. Of course, Mona blamed me, saying I manipulated Mac against her, that I was jealous of her happiness and trying to ruin her relationship. It didn't matter that I hadn't said anything to him directly. She was convinced it was my fault. Her behavior grew erratic as the wedding approached. She lashed out at anyone not on her side, cut off friends, stopped talking to family, even threatened to uninvite people from the wedding, like she couldn't handle not getting her way. Max started pulling away, talking less about the wedding and spending more time with friends. I heard he told Mona he needed time to think if this was what he wanted, which fueled her anger even more. Now, the wedding's up in the air. Mac hasn't officially canceled, but he's clearly doubtful. Mona keeps pushing, refusing to apologize or admit fault, calling me selfish and entitled for not prioritizing her wedding and lying. She's convinced everyone against her is out to get her. The worst part, people believe my version, not because I'm a better liar, but because it's plausible given Mona's history of outrageous demands, like asking a friend to dump her boyfriend before prom because he wasn't attractive enough, she didn't, and married him, or asking that friend to lend her boyfriend for a dance, or telling our aunt to sell her purebred dog to buy Mona a new phone. Neither complied, but they stayed quiet until I spoke up, encouraging them to share. Things haven't changed much. Mona's still furious, blaming me because her wedding's on thin ice, unwilling to apologize or admit she was wrong. I don't know if Mac would move past it if she did. It's not like her request was normal, but it'd be a start. Her ego's too big, though, so she's suffering, unsure if the wedding will happen. I'm still pregnant, not considering her request, and moving on with my life while Mona continues her circus. Things with Mac haven't improved, not just because of what I said, but because her other actions are surfacing, like bodies she tied to ropes and dumped in a lake, now floating up as the ropes rot. Mac's starting to smell the stench and isn't sure he wants to marry someone who reeks like that. She needs to apologize to many, not just me. I heard he's been staying at his place most nights, avoiding her calls. In a conversation with Ben, Mac admitted he doesn't know how to marry someone who'd ask me to sacrifice my baby as a wedding gift for a pagan party. I don't rejoice in this, but part of me feels Mac needs to see this side of Mona before tying the knot. She's played the perfect bride so long that even he didn't know who she becomes when she doesn't get her way, but now he's seeing skeletons in her closet and having doubts. I've stayed out of it. Mona's not involving me directly, so I'm lying low to avoid drama. There's nothing more to say to her or anyone else. People know what she said and what others have said about her, and they can believe it or not. If she blames me again, claiming I'm lying or jealous, I can't convince her otherwise. 6 months later, with a baby on the way and a wedding looming, things don't mix well, like oil and water. Mona and Mac's wedding happened despite everything, but it wasn't the grand celebration she wanted. I didn't attend, glad I didn't, but heard details from those who did. Our parents went but stayed out of the drama. I still don't get why Mac went through with it when he wasn't fully convinced. The event felt forced and awkward. Mona acted like everything was fine, but Mac barely smiled during the ceremony and spent most of the reception sitting at his table, looking miserable. The tension was palpable. Why marry feeling like that? It's the most important day of a marriage. Everything after is harder. I can't imagine how that start could lead to anything good. It wasn't just the wedding. Things unraveled after. Post-honeymoon, which Mac hasn't discussed, he grew more distant, as if he thought the wedding would fix everything, but it didn't. The honeymoon was a point of no return. He avoided talk of the wedding or future plans, instead confiding in Ben. One night, Ben told me Mac opened up about how bad his marriage was, not just from Mona's pre-wedding actions, but her behavior after getting her way. She got her big wedding, though not as grand as she'd hoped, and started acting more like herself. Mac described it to Ben, and I wasn't surprised. She's always been this way. Mac told Ben he's considering therapy, not couples but for himself. Then weeks ago, Mac moved out. Mona was shocked, thinking everything would be fine post-wedding, that the fairy tale would continue. But Mac entered the marriage with doubts, and they only grew. She can't blame anyone but herself now, but that's not Mona, is it? My mom called, saying Mona was beside herself, and she didn't know how to calm her. Thankfully, she didn't ask me to help. I wouldn't know how or want to get involved. Mona keeps blaming others, refusing to see her selfishness and entitlement, and now she's paying the price. You can't change or fix what's wrong if you don't accept it, and Mona never has, spelling a bleak future for her. I'm staying out of the hurricane, far from the drama. She's still saying it's my fault, but I don't care. She can say what she wants. The truth is different. As long as she's not calling or confronting me directly, her theories don't bother me, and few seem to care about them. My focus is my newborn, keeping me physically and emotionally distant from this mess. Nothing's mattered more than my baby, and it's my priority. If I'd only posted about him, people would ask about Mona, so I included this for those curious. Having nothing major to report about my baby is good. It means he's fine. We did precautionary tests at birth, but he's healthy. Mona's had opinions about my baby, whom she hasn't met, but I see it as her turning motherhood into a competition, like who has the better wedding versus a mere baby. I'm not stooping to her level. The drama with Mona's failing marriage continues, and these past 4 months have been intense. She won't accept the wedding was a mistake, or that staying married isn't good for anyone, and the consequences are clear. She spiraled into full-blown madness because things aren't going her way. She needs the universe to dance to her tune, and when it doesn't, chaos ensues. Weeks after their split, Mona started showing up at Mac's apartment, begging him to return, texting, visiting uninvited, even getting friends to convince him. It got bad for Mac, as he told Ben when venting. I wasn't getting involved. I'm in full mom mode. If I helped anyone, it'd be Mac, with a restraining order against Mona, which you should consider. Then, out of nowhere, Mona called me one night after months of silence. She was crying, barely coherent, gasping for air. When she calmed down, she said she was pregnant, hoping I'd understand as a mother, forgive her, and take her side. She thought a baby would bring Mac back, fix everything. I asked why she was telling me after no contact, when I couldn't help. She said she wanted to reconnect, that it'd be nice for our kids to grow up close instead of distant like us. I told her she needed to talk to her husband, not me, and that having a baby in her state wasn't advisable. I didn't say it, but I thought if anyone needed an abortion, it was her. Bringing a child into her world would be unfair. She didn't take my lack of enthusiasm well, unsure what she expected from me. Weeks later, she told Mac, who said a baby didn't change reality, he'd be a father if needed, but they weren't getting back together. Mona was devastated, per my parents, thinking a pregnancy would win him back. Mac took the wrong path marrying her, but isn't repeating that mistake here. You'd think this was Mona hitting rock bottom, finally accepting some fault, but you'd be dead wrong. She's more Mona than ever. She fell into a deep depression, blaming everyone, me first, then our parents, Mac, even the baby. It's like she has no mirrors to see the real culprit. I thought she'd never own up, always pointing fingers. But then, unexpectedly, she started contacting me more. At first, I thought it was just her dragging me into her drama, but I saw a change. One night, she called, not crying about Mac or blaming others, but genuinely remorseful. She apologized for how she treated me, for making me feel my feelings didn't matter, admitting her selfishness and mishandling everything. It was the apology I'd waited for my whole life, a new beginning for us. I was skeptical, why the sudden change, but excited to finally have a sister. Then I woke up from that dream, because let's be real, unless you're clueless, you'd never expect Mona to change for the better. She hasn't apologized, still insists it's my fault and everyone else's. I wouldn't be surprised if she blames me for her pregnancy next. I don't know what she and Mac are planning, if she'll have the baby or not. If she aborts, gives it up for adoption, or has it and Mac still doesn't return, we know who she'll blame. 3 weeks later, I'm back with another update. Mona didn't make a decision because there was no pregnancy. She faked it to test if Mac would return. I don't get it. She lied about being pregnant to win him back, but what was the plan when she had to admit the truth? Just ask what he wanted for dinner and act like nothing happened? Her plan's full of holes, but only someone who'd asked me to abort for her wedding could think lying about a pregnancy would fix things. And now we can call Mac her ex-husband. He's filed for divorce. It's not official yet, but it's safe to say it's happening. He got the full Mona Madness package in just months. A clear message of this is me, love it or leave. And Mac chose to run. It took him long enough, as some noted, but I'm glad he's out. Her lies haven't helped. Those already turned off by her earlier request needed no more reason to dislike her, and now no one's on her side. Even those who half believed her claim that I lied aren't with her now, maybe from embarrassment. I haven't been blamed lately, but that might just be because I don't talk to anyone who talks to her. I'm focused on my life. Ben and I are raising our baby, and it doesn't get easier, but it's the kind of challenge you want, the joy of parenthood irreplaceable. Whether Mona finds that joy, only she'll know, maybe in a few months when she decides about her pregnancy. For now, I'm steering clear of her storm, grateful for my family and the peace we're building.